This story goes back to 2015, when I decided to make a horror game to scare others. I installed Unity 3D and found a tutorial online to make a horror game. I didn't understand a single line of code, so I just copied and pasted everything. It was working fine until I decided to change the code for the flashlight so that it would run out of battery, just to give the player a little bit of a thrill. But naturally enough, I didn't know how to do it. It was so hard for me to make that tiny little change that it brought to my attention so many other problems. Like, I don't understand a thing about my computer. What if I want to code this? What if I want to code that? So I felt dumb and trapped. So as a compensation, I decided that I must learn to code. Then I started studying hard and I got into a bachelor's degree program for computer science. 2016, first year of the university. Everything was disappointing. Out of 5 courses that was given to me for the first semester, only one was related to my goal of becoming a good programmer, and that was basics of computer programming. I learned to code in C in this course. That taught me the most basic stuff like variables, functions, fors and whiles and ifs and switch cases. Suddenly, any piece of code that I saw anywhere started to kind of make sense. I didn't give any shit about the other unrelated courses, such as general math, that discussed a lot of integrals. I got an A+ for programming and a bunch of C- for other stuff. The second semester was a bit better. I had advanced programming, which taught me the basics of OOP, inheritance, polymorphism, and all that jazz. It didn't really make sense to me why anyone would use classes and inheritance at that time. I also took data structures and logic circuits. These courses were also related to programming and useful, although I didn't really understand why it was necessary to learn logic circuits at that time, because it was poorly explained to me why it was important. I wasn't patient enough, so I flunked those twice before finally passing them. That just proves to me that universities have old rules and they don't really care about the student's experience. They just have a stupid system that you can't change and you must follow. After 2 semesters, I was still feeling powerless and dumb, and I didn't know how my computer worked. 2018. I'm 2 years into a standard 4 years bachelor program, and I now know the basics of programming, but I still feel powerless. I don't have any idea how all these apps on my computer work. Also, my girlfriend just broke up with me basically because I didn't have a job. That was actually the first time I grabbed bird, but anyways. I started searching for entry-level job opportunities and I found a good paying job position for a React developer, but there was a tiny problem. I didn't know shit about React or JavaScript, and the interview was next week. So I started searching and reading a bunch of documents and putting together a sample project. I went to the interview and did better than the older folk that was also being interviewed at the same time, and he claimed that he's been a developer for the past 5 years. Maybe I'll do a video about why I did better in that interview later. I got the job, but without knowing how to really code in React. My first task was to code a fucking video player for the website of the company that I was hired at. I spent days reading and researching and reading a lot of documents and researching and searching and googling, and finally I did the task successfully. It was at this point that I finally felt powerful. I could just search things that I didn't know about. I could just make them happen. I was now glad that my piece of shit ex-girlfriend broke up with me. 2021. I finished my bachelor's and I now know how computers are built and work, from the transistors up to the OS. That gives me a powerful knowledge base to build my skills upon, being able to implement things that I wasn't familiar with before because of my broad basic knowledge. Let's put it that way. It enabled me to be able to work as a freelance programmer on a vast range of projects. At one point, I was making $7,000 a month working from home. There's a lot about how to start coding that I couldn't fit in this video, so I made a video about that as well. So make sure to check that video.